Do you know the best way to store eggs? Is it on the countertop or is it in the refrigerator? Is it different if they're store-bought eggs or if you raise your own hens and gather your own eggs? Or is it even different depending on where you live? And finally, does it matter when you store them if the pointy side is up or the pointy side down? So the answer to these questions is yes, 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 and maybe. Knowing the right way to store eggs is important for your family's safety. Did you know that every 1 in 20,000 eggs is estimated to be contaminated with salmonella? And that is a nasty bacteria that kills 420 people a year from foodborne contamination illnesses. In fact, just recently, it was killing people because cantaloupe was contaminated with salmonella. Hi, I'm Potpourri, and I have been making food preservation, food storing, and family safety and preparedness videos for over 10 years on YouTube. My goal is to keep your family and you safe. So, if you enjoy the content, hit that subscribe button and thumbs up if you find value from this video. It is much, much appreciated. Do note, however, that it's impossible to tell if an egg has been contaminated with salmonella. It's completely invisible, there's no smell, there's no taste difference. So, it's important to practice food safety. Always inspect your eggs before storing. Here on the reverse side, we have a crack. That is not good. This is not a boiled egg. This is an egg taken right out of the nest box. So in this case, this egg is getting thrown away because any cracks in the egg shell here can allow bacteria to seep in. And that's not good. Every egg has a coating when it's first laid. In fact, it comes out a little wet and then it dries, and if you got this out of the nest box, it might be slightly tacky if you got it when it was just laid. But that outer covering is a protective covering, and some people call it the cuticle and some people call it the egg bloom. And what it does is close up most of the pores of the eggs so contaminants cannot get in the egg. And you city folks, if you're watching, may not be aware, but a chicken only has one orifice. That's right, one hole that pee, poop, and an egg come out of. So it's important to keep contaminants that might be in the feces out of the egg. And that brings up a very interesting question: to wash or not to wash? And believe it or not, it depends on where you live. In the United States, it's federally mandated that if you have more than 3,000 laying hens, you must scrub and wash your eggs before getting them ready to take to the market. But, like I said, that process removes the natural protection on the egg. So then, refrigeration is necessary. Now, you might buy eggs at a farm stand, and they can have different regulations depending on local health department regulations and state regulations. But if you've ever been in Europe and went to a grocery store, you'll see that eggs are sold right on a regular shelf, no refrigeration. Well, how can that be? Well, they don't wash their eggs. In fact, they are mandated, it is illegal for them to wash their eggs. And so that means for a certain period of time, they are shelf stable. They also inoculate their laying hens with a vaccine against salmonella, which, as far as I know, is not done routinely in the United States for laying hens. Now, believe it or not, when I was in high school, way, way, way long ago, in the early 1970s, that's when the United States started mandating the washing. Before that time, it was not required. And you'd go into a lot of farm kitchens, regular kitchens, and you'd see eggs just sitting on the counter. And after the United States regulated that, well, soon other countries followed, such as Canada, Japan, Scandinavian countries, and Australia. So all of these countries wash their eggs and refrigeration is required. I should mention in Europe, a lot of the eggs don't have far to travel, where in the United States, they can travel from the producer to the supermarket hundreds and maybe even 1,000 miles before they reach their destination. So yes then, how you store your eggs can depend on where you live, but it can also depend on where you get your eggs. If you buy them in the store, you should be refrigerating them, because refrigeration will slow the growth of any bad bacteria. And remember, that protective covering, the bloom, has been removed. In fact, if you were just taking the eggs out of the refrigerator that you're going to do some baking or something, you shouldn't leave them on the counter for longer than 2 hours before you put them back in the refrigerator, because condensation can occur and out of those pores. And then again, it's more open to bad bacteria that still might be on the outside. But I do want to remind you that if you're baking, you should take your eggs out of the refrigerator 30 minutes before you're going to use, because then the yolk will mix up into the white better, and that is recommended by baking experts. But did you know that even where you store your eggs is important? Now, a lot of refrigerators come on the door, you know, that little thing, and it has a little tray to place your eggs in. Well, guess what? That's where you're not supposed to store your eggs, because closing, opening of that refrigerator door can cause temperature fluctuation on the door, which will decrease shelf life. You want to put them in the middle towards the back shelf of your refrigerator. Now, personally, I do raise laying hens and gather my own eggs. So what do? Do I leave them on the kitchen counter? Well, sometimes for a little while before I get ready to put them in the refrigerator, but I have a problem because of this. So I still store my eggs in the refrigerator with the bloom on. I don't wash them till I'm going to use them. So I think the big question is, okay, we got 2 different ways to do it, but how long do eggs last before they go bad? Well, of course, there's really no consensus on this. In Europe, they're marked best before 28 days, which means you can still keep them a bit after that, right? Quality of taste might diminish. In other countries, they cite a shelf life of 4 months, right on those regular grocery shelves or on the person's countertop. Now, in the United States, according to the Farmer's Almanac, it can take 30 days from when the hen lays it to when the eggs are actually put in a carton to get ready for delivery to a supermarket. They have 30 days to do that, but then they have an additional 30 days for that carton to arrive on the grocery shelves. So in some cases, your eggs could already be 2 months old when you purchase them. Now, where I live, that's not really true. We are near some other counties that are huge egg producers. So eggs on our shelves in the grocery stores is much more timely. Now, according to the United Egg Producers, it's fine to eat refrigerated eggs 2 to 3 weeks after the expiration date on your egg carton. So those eggs could actually be almost 3 months old. I can just tell you that I think eggs have kept quite a while in my refrigerator. But again, I'm kind of combining 2 methods, right? I don't wash my eggs, they still have the bloom on them, but I put them in the refrigerator, and so maybe that extends shelf life even more. Okay, but then how do you know if eggs are bad? Well, some people do the float test where they put the egg in water and see if it tips up or floats up, and then they figure that that air pocket on top has grown, so it is an older egg. But older and spoiled are 2 different things. as the egg ages, that space, the airspace can become bigger. The white of the egg can become runnier. The yolk might change shape a bit. The taste won't be as fresh, but it won't kill you, okay? It's just not at peak quality. So I think the best way to examine an egg, if you're questioning it, is pick it up, smell it. Does it have any strange smell? Well, or any cracks? Then you want to throw it. And if you open it up and you do that sniff test and it smells funny, again, throw it away. But if you just happen to see like a red dot in it, a little blood dot, that doesn't mean the egg is bad. That just means a blood vessel broke while the chicken was laying the egg, and there is nothing that's going to harm you in that egg from that blood spot anyway. Oh, there is one advantage to having older eggs. It's a lot easier to peel them when they're older if you want hard-boiled eggs. Fresh eggs, not the best to hard boil. And as for the pointy side, is it best to be placed up or placed down when you store it? Believe it or not, there is a correct way. The correct way is to place it down. And there's two reasons for it. One is, it really is easier to grab that way out of your egg container. But the other reason has to do with that little air bubble, the air sac. It will remain here at the top, and your yolk and white will be down here. And that way the white of the egg is protecting your yolk from contaminants. So it's best to store it pointy side down. So I have to ask, how do you store your eggs? Check out this playlist for more storing suggestions for food items from your kitchen.